Hello, it's Elisa. I want to share another personal story from me going from zero guidance to 100% divinely guided. Now, if you're someone who already feels a little bit of guidance but would love to experience more, or someone who don't hear anything but you know it's out there and you know it's possible for you, then this video might be very helpful because I was there. At the moment, I'm channeling almost every day. Through voice, through text, through feeling. There's so much information coming through me. But if you just went back 5 years ago, and if I would take a time machine and go back to my old self and I would say to him that I was doing all of this, he would think I'm absolutely crazy. So I want to share my story of how this all happened. I was living in Malta at the time, beautiful island called Gozo, and it was COVID. I just started to travel on intuition, purely on my gut feeling, so I was able to listen to my gut feeling, and I got very interested in guides. Like I was watching Lee Harris, I was watching Lori Ladd and Phil Good and other people, and I was like, wow, this is so interesting. These people are just tapping in and receiving the most amazing wisdom. So I found myself sometimes also asking, hey guides, you must be out there. I heard everyone has a team of guides. Can you give me some guidance for today? And I just heard crickets. Absolutely silent. Absolutely nothing. Guides, come on. You're out there. You will hear me. Nothing. So it brought some feelings that maybe I was broken, maybe I was not able to receive, maybe my mind was not fully developed the right way. There was some insecure feelings that came with that because I was not hearing anything. And that all changed when I started learning the Akashic Records and started reading my Akashic Records. It changed to such a degree that first I felt a lot of feeling, 1 or 2 words, and a week later I started to channel my first sentence, which was a big milestone, 1 sentence. And I think a month or so later I started to receive full pages. Now, they were already sending that information from the very beginning. From that moment that I was in Malta, just explaining like, hey, guides, where are you? They were already sending information. My guides were also already sending information. I just didn't know how to translate it. And also, my mind didn't know how to translate it. So when I went into the Akashic Records, I had a consistent practice, I had a connection method, I knew how to connect, and I knew information was coming through me. So then it became very interesting. And it can come through so many ways. It can come through visions, audio, feeling, knowing. In my case, it comes through knowing and through kinesthetic pulses. So I ask a question, and before I was able to really get words or information, at one point I found myself just walking, and I was not talking to the Akashic Records, but just to my guides. And I said, hey guides, and I just asked them one question, and I felt a little bit of a wobble in my throat area. I was like, okay. And then I asked the same question, and I felt exactly the same wobble. Another time, and exactly the same wobble again, like as if a Morse code, like, hey guys, can you give me some guidance for today? Like that, but then not as sound, but as a feeling of a vibration. So for me, it came in a very weird way, not obvious at all. I didn't know what they were saying. It was just but when I opened the Akashic Records, I still felt these wobbles. But then I just knew that my mind, every time I was connecting, my mind was getting better in translating these wobbles into language. So I knew every time I was practicing, my mind was getting better in understanding this energy and creating the language out of that. Just like when you read a book, you because you know how to read and you know how to write, you open a book and you can translate the signs and the letters and the sentences in the book into language, into meaning. But when you give that same book to a 3-year-old that doesn't know how to read, it opens the book, all the information is there, but its mind didn't translate it yet. It didn't learn yet how to translate the information into meaning. And for me it was exactly the same, but then with energetical information. So when I opened the Akashic Records, I knew there was information being sent. I felt the wobbles, and bit by bit, session by session, I got better in learning it, in receiving it. Now then at one point I was traveling, and at that point I was living in Turkey. I was having a bad day and a very big pain in my belly. So I went for a walk and I found a beautiful tree at the seaside, and it's a beautiful, tranquil Aegean Sea, very beautiful, very clear, and it was like an olive tree, and I was just sitting there at the tree, and I was just like feeling pain, a lot of pain in my belly. And at one point I asked just to the tree, just out of pure, I don't know, spontaneity, "Hey tree, can you help me with this pain? Can you help me with this pain?" And in a couple seconds I just feel this pain turning, rotating, and whoop, it just sucks into the ground and it's gone. And I'm like, what just happened? And then I asked the tree, what just happened? And I started to receive information. I was like, this is very interesting. And it came exactly the same way how the Akashic Records are sending me information. It's the way I receive it. But this time, because I already practiced the Akashic Records at that moment for more than a year, I was able to receive these wobbles and unpack them and translate the information out of them, right? So that was like, wow, all of a sudden I can talk to trees. This is interesting. And then I wanted to know about my guides, and I was able to hear my guides. And then I wanted to know about my guardian angel, and I was hearing very specifically my guardian angel. And all of these guidance became aware. I wanted to ask a question to my heart. I was very able to feel and see my heart. Plants, everything, really. There is so much information. Literally everything is information, right? So, and information a lot of times is intelligent. So you can talk with all of these intelligences. And the more I opened up to it, the more I knew how to translate it. The more I knew how to discern what is a source that is good for me and what is a source of information that is not good for me. And I started to get better and better in doing this. Then at one point the Akashic Record said, hey, we want you to be able to channel through voice. So back then I was still reading, or I was writing or typing. And they said, you have to go through voice. And we are now installing something that they call the voice gate in my energy body. And it's time to go through voice. And at the beginning it was very clunky, and still sometimes I feel very much like a robot, because I really need to surrender myself very deeply. And then they can come true. But the more I do it, the more clear I become. But at the beginning I was so clunky. And also I have some early channelings on this YouTube channel. They are so clunky because I'm just channeling the Akashic Records directly through my voice. But because I was so used to writing and typing, it's a whole different channeling and a whole different way of surrender. So now they teach me how to learn through voice. Also, they teach me how to learn to send it through vibration. And that's an amazing feeling to see them sending us through vibration. So to help you and to make, because this is my own story, and now I'm very grateful that I went through this. But to help you get started with this, I would really, for you, I have 3 things that I would love to say to you that can be very helpful. And you don't need the Akashic Records for that. The Akashic Records is just a very stable, consistent channeling practice. One of the things, for example, that I would love to tell you is surrender. And why the Akashic Records taught me that so well is because every time I didn't surrender, the whole information flow just stopped. So, for example, I wanted to know what my purpose was on this earth and all these questions, right? And I started to receive wisdom and information, and I received it word for word. So there was no images or anything, just word for word. So I didn't know if I would start a sentence, how the sentence would end. So that was already a level of surrendering. And then sometimes a sentence would go like this. And therefore, the main reason you came to this earth is, and because I was so excited to learn the answer, I stopped my being in my surrendered state. I started to anticipate. I started to get excited for what are they gonna say? Why am I here? And then whoop, information stopped. What a cliffhanger. And the most important reason why you are here is nothing. So it was a very direct way of surrender. Now, channeling and asking for guidance from your guides requires a certain level of surrender. So if you're very anticipated and hyped for the answer, it's way harder for the information to come through. So that's one thing, and it was a very important and very big topic in a way, but it's very good for you. Surrender. Especially if you feel like you're a control freak, that's an amazing practice for you. Surrender. Let go. Relax. Don't want anything. Just let everything that's coming to you be received in acceptance. Then the next thing that I think is very good is to listen with all of your body. Don't just listen with our normal senses. So just listen with your normal senses and your mind's eye, but also in your knowing. Listen to your knowing. Listen to the subtle vibrations that are happening in your body. Maybe you feel a wobble in your plexus, or you feel a wobble in your throat, or a wobble in your crown, or you feel some things happening in your crown. Don't underestimate these small sensations, because most of the divine guidance is way more subtle. They're way more subtle than the physical. So sometimes the information comes in way more subtle, and we need to learn how to tune into that. So to listen with all of your body, with everything, that's amazing. And the third thing that I would love to say for you to develop more guidance is ask. Ask, because there's a whole team of light beings that are listening very closely, and they don't have permission until you ask, and they don't have permission until you're in the right space for it to give you information. So they want to help you, but if you, for example, have this I want to do everything on my own energy, and you're just like and you never ask for help, they are not able to help you. They don't have permission to interfere. So ask for help. Ask, hey, can you help me open up my guidance? Can you help me listen better? Can you help me surrender more? Ask these questions just out loud in the open, not to someone, just out loud. Or in your mind. Ask them in your mind. Can you help me deal with these emotions? Can you give me some guidance for the day? I feel lost. Like, these questions are asking for help questions. And just by you asking for help questions, you give permission to your guidance to be able to help you. And by being able to help you, you will start to understand how information will come to you, because that's for everyone different. But information will come to you. It can come through synchronicity. It can come to, like I said, wobbles. It can come to so many things. But it starts with the question. So the third thing is ask for help. So surrender, listen with your whole body, and ask. Now, if you want to have a very channeling practice, like a consistent channeling practice, something that you instantly connect with a very powerful field, the way that I learned how to channel, You know where to find me. I am very happy to teach you. I'm very grateful that the Akashic beings that I'm talking to, educated me and chose me as one of their teachers. I didn't believe them at first, but after a while of accepting that I'm really here to do this, I started to step fully into this reality. And there's a course available online. I'm also doing in-person events at the moment, one in Malaga and two in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam and in Tilburg, and hopefully a lot more around the world. So if you are ready to dive into a new level of guidance and you want to have a very consistent practice, the Akashic Record School is here for you. And with that, I want to leave you. Thank you for having the intention to get more guidance. There's one thing that I forgot. Oh, so sorry, you're almost like, yes, the video is over. There's one thing I forgot. I received the guidance that the Akashic Records is going to be way more available to all of us. So around in 20 years from now, all souls on this planet will have instant connection with the Akashic Records. So you don't have to learn it now. It will happen automatically in from now to the next 20 years. Just like your communication with your guides. It will happen anyway when you're ready for it. But you can of course activate it already when you really want it. But it will, when you really need it, it will come to you. They will talk to you in their way. The Akashic Records too, it will be a normal form of reality. But with that, there's still a certain sense of, but we need to know how to use this. Just like emotions. Emotions is a normal form of reality. But we are not learned in school how we are properly dealt with emotions. And you see that effect of that. You see that a lot of people are not in tune with their emotions and they're out of balance, and a lot of absolutely horrible things can happen when you're not in line with emotions. And we need to learn with that part of reality, with emotion. And just like the Akashic Records becomes a part of reality and spiritual guidance becomes a part of reality, we need to learn how to deal with that. And I cannot do this on my own. We need a lot of people to kind of step into that place first, so we can help a lot more people. How can we deal with divine wisdom? How can we channel that in the right way? How can we know what's true and what's not true? All these things are important. And I hope it's becoming part of the normal school curriculum. But until that point, I'm gonna do my best to educate as much people as I possibly can to properly use this field for their own. So I almost forgot that, but it was on my notes, so I wanted to share that with you. It will be available. You can already step into it now, or you can step into it later. But it's very good that you know how this field works and how this vibration works in you and how it gets translated. So thank you again. So much love.